watching it live. If I watch it live on my phone, it's still a delay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now I'm clicking live, and then everybody quiet.
So the camera starts out on you, right?
It will start on me, and when I pass it to you, then it'll be on you. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, enemies and friends, welcome to the show that never ends. You are tuned in to On the Real on the R Squared Network, where we keep you up to date on all the goings on in the world of TV and movies. I am your host, Steve Johnson, and joining me today is my brother from the same mother, Mr. Johnson.
How y'all doing?
And thank you for ruining the intro. All right. Also,
I didn't know you was recording.
Also joining me today is the last best hope for the resistance, Mr. Woods. Hey, that's a reference to a little review show we're going to be doing a little bit later. All right. So today we have a lot to talk to you about. We are going to talk about Jody Foster's interesting comments about comic book movies. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about what the Punisher has to say to a certain subset of his fans. And our focal point will be all about what constitutes a real movie, a real artistic movie. And finally...
Artsy-fartsy crap.
Yes. Well, hey. And for What Would You Do, we're going to have a fun game today. It is going to be our director's draft pick. And I will explain more of that to you later. But you've seen the NFL, so I'm sure you'll get it. All right. So, Mr. Woods...
Yes, sir.
Help us out here.
What am I doing?
What are you doing? Well, I'll help you out a little bit.
All right. We're talking about Jody Foster.
We are talking about Jody Foster.
Right.
Now, this week, earlier in the week, she made some comments about comic book. Well, so
she slams superhero movies.
And their fans.
But I do want to just address, we're going to be fair here for a little bit before we go in Jones.
Okay.
She wasn't fully talking about comic book movies per se.
Okay.
It was blockbuster movies.
Like,
right?
Movies that make money, mess up everything.
At the end of it,
my movies are trash.
At the end of her comments, right. Then she said, I don't want to direct $200 million superhero movie. So the big headline grabber is she goes in on comic book movies, but it was really all. So that means
all movies that make money,
all big budget movies, and so that does include Transformers and
You said it includes.
It includes that because she's talking about Avatar, Star Wars,
Titanic,
and so.
And I quote, "Going to the movies has become like a theme park."
Tell them what they said.
No, she just made a comment saying going to the movies has become like a theme park.
Isn't that what the movie's supposed to be?
Depends on who you're asking. And she adds
the highlights of the quotes.
No, she just added she was speaking. I'm reading this from Deadline.com, and it's all over the internet.
They can be trusted somewhat.
Right, exactly. So she was doing an interview with a magazine version of Radio Times through Daily Mail, and she adds, studios are making bad content in order to appeal to the masses and shareholders. It's like fracking. You get the best return right now, but you wreck the earth. Yeah. Fracking. Yeah, I had a conversation with Mark Ruffalo about that.
Yeah, that was interesting. You're not gonna talk about the hand washing.
No, man.
We're not okay. All right, no problem.
Shout out to Mark Ruffalo. No, anyway. So yes, she's making a point there, and just saying that in terms of, as you said, with the Marvel, not Marvel per se, but those big budget movies like the Transformers, where it's just really bad. Right, so you're just appealing to the mass audience, trying to get as much money as possible. You don't really care about what you're putting out. You just know that, hey, if I slap a name on it, if it goes boom, everybody comes out to see it. It's all good. We're making money.
Yeah.
You know what
I mean, here's the whole thing with that. I mean, I'm not going to say there's not terrible movies that are blockbusters.
Right,
and
right.
They make them just because they're trying to cash out.
Right.
But as something Steven had said, is that they use this money to fund these smaller movies.
Right.
So they got to make these movies. I mean, but you can make a blockbuster that's good. They don't always have to be terrible, you know?
Exactly.
Because me as the moviegoer, I don't want to spend my hard-earned money to see. I don't give a crap how much money you spent on it. Make a good movie.
Right,
you feel
right.
me?
You're right about that.
But you need it's a necessary evil. You need these blockbusters to fund the little artsy fartsy crap that she seems to be on.
Now,
which is very
well,
elitist.
we are going to talk about this in the focal point, because this is sort of what we're going to move around. So
right.
we'll stay away from the philosophical side of it, because we're going to spend about 20 minutes talking about that.
I just want to kind of chip in some of the little things that she said. So as I continue
also,
to talk about this, I just want to throw in some of the things that she
said.
Yeah,
go ahead. And I want to bring up some of the things that what's his name? I can't remember his name right now, but the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, who's James Gunn. Yes, right. He had some words about
in reference to Jody Foster's response.
So,
well, I'm just throwing in little quotes that she mentioned.
Said,
it's ruining.
You mad because we ain't put you in the damn movie? Stop acting like you didn't come to audition.
Did he say that? Did he say that?
You mad because you got shut down for a part.
I'm gullible enough to believe that.
I'm like,
no.
But it's possible though.
Jody Foster been putting in work.
You heard it here first.
Mad work.
You heard it here first. She's mad because she washed.
She is absolutely not washed.
Yo,
she's mad because she's washed.
She's seen Guardians of the Galaxy, and she's seen Sylvester Stallone and all these other people.
Right.
The dude from Jurassic Park. All these people getting roles. She see,
and she's saying, "What about me?
What about me? I could use one of them multi-million-dollar checks."
Man. No,
she's salty.
She made a comment saying it's ruining the viewing habits of the American population and then ultimately the rest of the world. And she made it clear she does not want to make 200 million movies about superheroes.
Nobody asking you to make one though.
And that CGI and that sort of spectacle is not the reason why she makes movies. I feel like I make movies because there are things I have to say in order to figure out who I am, or my place in the world, or for me to evolve as a person.
Yeah, and those movies
now here's
flop.
no, it's not that. The thing is, I get that film can be about that, and film can be a personal experience,
right.
But to say that's a very narrow view of what filmmaking should be.
Right.
It's dope that you want to make films basically for yourself and to explore things about yourself.
Yes,
but that's not what everything has to be. And to say that your view of what film is to you, what filmmaking means to you, is what it should be for all the entire movie-going audience. I just don't. I don't know that that's fair, and I would suspect that she would take those words back, and maybe they've been misquoted. I don't know.
Here's what I would say to that. Art is very subjective. It's just like everybody could have the same paints, but everybody's going to paint differently. It's just like you can't tell somebody what they should like or how they should, create their art, because there's a fan of whatever type of film you're trying to make. There's fans out there that support these films. Mm-hmm. So who are you to say like what people should like, basically?
Right. Well, so two things. I think I do agree with you, LeVar. I get where you're coming from about that art being subjective, right? And that you're reaching different audiences. And I also understand where Steve is coming from, where the first thing he said was it's a matter of, that was the headline grabber, saying that, she's slamming superhero movies, and she's not necessarily slamming.
She's slamming blockbusters. That's
right.
what she said.
But
the fact that she ended it with that, she was talking about. But she could have just seen Suicide Squad and a bunch of these DC stinkers, and just like,
at DC.
What the hell? Yeah.
No, but I just feel like I get where you're saying, but I just think, and also in the terms of, and we spoke about this, we all collectively spoke about this on a previous episode, but where are we going with these superhero films? Where will we get? Will there be a form of fatigue that sets in? And you said no, right? Because these movies have always been coming out. As long as they're good, because you said you're paying. I want to pay my money. I want good content. I want to be entertained, and you're right about that. And if that's happening, that makes sense. You said previously, Steve, you made a mention that are we gonna pay $18, $19 to go see I don't know.
Three Billboards in Ebbing, Missouri, which, by the way, that movie was dope.
Right.
But I don't need to spend
that much.
$16, $17 to go see that.
Exactly.
Right?
But will you do that for Dunkirk or for something like Infinity War or something like that?
What? A theme park.
Me personally,
right,
yes.
Exactly.
Me personally,
so
like special effects movies, I go see those movies in theaters.
Right,
Other movies, I'll see it on however Netflix, whatever.
Now, right.
How I see
on
it.
A smaller screen.
Because it's just like a blockbuster, you're supposed to see it on the big screen. Like the nuances, the special effects, the widescreen, you need to see that. That IMAX.
The other part of it though, that because none of these things happen in a vacuum, is that maybe the reason movie tickets are $16 a pop is because these studios are inflating the budgets and spending $250 million to make Fast and the Furious. You know what I mean? They have to recoup that, so that's why movie prices are raising higher than the rate of inflation. That said, I just want to add something that James Gunn said in regards to the Jody Foster comments, and then we'll move on because again we're going to talk about this.
Talk about it in further detail, minutes. Right?
But he says, I think Foster looks at film in an old-fashioned. James Gunn is the director of Guardians of the Galaxy.
He says she washed, bro.
But he says, I think Foster looks at film in an old-fashioned way where spectacle film can't be thought-provoking. It's often true, but not always. Her belief system is pretty common and isn't totally without basis. I say not without basis because
these DC
most
movies are trash.
Franchise films are quite soulless, and that is a real danger to the future of movies, but there are also quite a few exceptions. For cinema to survive, I believe spectacle films need to have a vision and heart. Need to have the vision and heart they traditionally have. And some of us are doing our best to move in that direction, creating spectacle films that are innovative, humane, and thoughtful. It is what excites me about this job. And honestly,
stay tuned for Infinity War.
Right, and again, you cannot look at Logan and what many would say in Wonder Woman, and even if you didn't like Guardians of the Galaxy 2, he made a film about a family. Right. And there was care taken and put into that thing. So I just think it's very sort of dismissive to
jumble all of these blockbuster films
that
into
is essentially what
Michael Bay.
Let's be clear. Let's be very clear.
Right.
Jody Foster has been on the right side of a lot of social issues and fighting against prejudice. And what is prejudice? What is prejudice except prejudging something based on what you don't know or what you assume? Right. And that is what she's doing here. So that's why I said I don't know if she's misquoted or whatever. So no disrespect to Jody Foster, but you're wrong.
You wrong. I was wrong.
All right.
But another thing, one more point is like I was saying in the group chat is that superhero movies have been around since the beginning of time. Whether it's Zorro, Three Musketeers, the Lone Ranger, these type of movies have always been around. Whether it's biblical stories, whether it's Greek mythology, whether it's Conan or whatever, there's always been people doing superhuman things. Or
the Iliad is like
there's
a
always
tale of
been that since the beginning of time. The whole Bible is these stories. So how can you say if people want to see this thing and people want to escape for 2 hours that they're wrong, or like my taste is somehow not good because you don't like it.
Right.
That's very elitist.
Right. Also, it is a business, right? And the other thing is, Jody Foster just directed a very interesting episode on the new season of Black Mirror.
Rockbox.
And that, no, it was very good. But my point is, there are other avenues now that exist to where our tour filmmakers can go and make those smaller films, and that's dope. Right. So I just think it's sort of wrong-headed to think about it like that.
We'll dig deeper, right?
Next on that list.
Yes, sir.
Well, breaking news. I hate to tell you all this, but Game of Thrones is delayed until 2019. It is official. HBO came out and said, you ain't seeing that shit this year.
Did a crow just hand you that message?
A three-eyed raven handed it to me.
Oh, okay. There we go. All right.
Any thoughts on
2019?
2019. You're not getting the winter is here now, but it ain't gonna be here till next year.
It's gonna be worth. It's gonna be worth the wait.
Yo, this is making me think that whole White Walker thing is real, son. That's why it's so cold right now, son. They coming. Winter is coming, bro.
Listen, they have to work
Winter
on
is
that writing.
here.
They have to work on
They
that
broke
writing.
down the wall, and that's where all this cold air is coming from.
You think this weather right now is coming from Eastwatch?
It's coming from there, bro. It's crazy.
Okay.
I can't explain it. There's no other way to explain it, bro.
And this is going to be 6 episodes, right?
6 episodes, and they're all going to be feature length.
Yo, it better be the greatest 6 episodes ever. I'm talking like
I want
90
dragons in every episode.
It better be
I want
real.
a dragon sex scene. That's how much dragon CG I want to see.
with lightsabers and stuff like that.
That's
craziness.
very explicit. That's just so.
I'm just putting it out there.
That's a little too explicit.
If you delaying it this long,
right.
It needs to be every episode needs to be epic.
But the level of the special effects better be crazy. Like it better look
I also
way
don't
better.
know how they're gonna wrap this. Even if every episode is 2 hours or 90 minutes, I don't know how you wrap all of that up
in 6 episodes.
Yeah, and I'm reading the books now, and it's a lot.
If it's gonna be 90 minutes, because
the show's essentially been moving very slow, and a lot of people felt like.
I mean, after
you talking about for this last season that's been moving slow?
No. I mean, up until last season, a lot of people felt like it moved slow, but it was, but in a good way.
The source material was
it was intriguing.
But
I was never bored with Game
Here's
of
the
Thrones.
thing: even in season 6, that's not going off of any books. The show only went up to book 5.
I told them where he was going with it, and then they
I heard people say the writing has suffered in season 7.
It has,
but it still don't sound as bad as Walking Dead, though.
I'm on that.
People
bandwagon.
Didn't say that about season 6, right? And I just think it's not so much that the writing was bad, except for like some things like worked out very conveniently.
Season 6, there was still some.
I think my point is, I just feel like it feels rushed, and not that it was rushed, but we're so used to things taking a little while, getting some time to breathe. Right. There was no time to breathe. At the end of every episode, there was a big battle.
Yo, last season was dope to
season 7.
Season 7.
The last season was dope to me.
And it was
every
great
episode.
to see a lot of the things we got to see.
And that's why everybody says Walking Dead is whack
now. It feels like they're going to have to even increase the pace because you have to tie it all up. You have to end everybody's storyline. And I don't know how they've delivered so far, right?
Well, that's what I'm worried about.
Longest running, like, high bar show. Every show, like, fizzles out by this point, and they haven't. Right? Even the great ones, Walking Dead, as you said, is something right now.
They're gonna leave me wanting more. It's like Breaking Bad. They ended it because I didn't even know that was gonna be. I don't like if they knew going into it that was gonna be the last season, because I don't think they knew or whatever. Because it's not like it was announced that beforehand. It was just like, oh, fine, this is gonna be the last season. But they went out with a bang.
Right.
Well, look, I hope that they keep this up and they can go out on that high note, and it doesn't, because I don't know how they're gonna wrap all of these things up.
I just don't want these like areas of.
I'm saying I need 3 more seasons.
I don't want these areas of convenience when it just.
But
you've done a great job up to this point.
But that happens when you cut it down from 10 to 7.
Right? Yeah, they can wrap
those
it up.
Things that didn't make sense, that were so convenient, they could have made it make sense if they gave you another episode of. Let's explain why these things are happening in that succession. Right. And that's what they've done. Because a lot of people have met up, and if they cut out some of the in-between, you would realize there's a whole lot of coincidence of people running into each other on the road with no cell phones in this series from the beginning. So that's a thing that happens, but when you put it so close together, you notice it more.
No, they definitely speeded, or like the way they play with time and how people just end up, because before it would be like, okay, however many episodes till they got where they were going. Now it'll just happen all the same
Khaleesi
episodes.
just like getting on her dragon and just flying getting down to.
But I'll be happy with that, because I don't want to wait a week to see what's going to happen.
So
I get it, but it's just still
But here's the thing: that's not actually. That part of it was not that terrible, because if you look at the map of the world and where they actually were, and understanding that it took them a few days to walk there.
No, she's flying,
but she flew, so she could get there. So it could work. Boat.
There's a couple of things. Actually, a lot of things.
Previous seasons would have had 2 episodes of them just walking. Yeah. So it feels like it's taking a while to get there. And again, we don't know when these things aren't happening in real time. They're jumping in and out, and we don't know at what point in time
it'll be weeks or
they're picking
long.
Up. They could be picking up 2 weeks later, but it's just the next
they need
scene.
to do that SpongeBob thing like 3 weeks later.
Well, I guarantee Jon Snow wasn't in the center of that ice for 2 weeks before being like rescued.
No. They were there for a day. Because it only takes 3 days for them to get there where they went, right? And Gendry was able to run back with in a day. So they spent overnight, and then she flew out there.
He booked it.
They flew out there right away. But that's neither here nor there. Let's move on to the number one box office movie of 2017. And spoiler alert, it's Star Wars.
Oh, I thought it
was
already 3 weeks in.
Right.
They are at over, and I don't know what they're at for the weekend estimates aren't in, but they knocked it out last weekend. So in their third weekend of release, in the domestic box office, they overtook the number one movie of the year, which was Beauty and the Beast at $504 million.
Bam. Last
weekend they were at they bumped up to $538.
Bam.
And now this week, I'm sure they will.
So it's the highest grossing domestically.
Oh no! This week it will be the highest grossing international as well. Because it was on Friday, it was at 1.1 something billion,
right.
and
so it's the
and it hasn't released in China yet.
Yeah.
So now the other side of that is, and I don't know what this means.
This movie seems to be very divisive though, because I didn't hear anybody say it. From what I've been feeling.
Yeah, but we talked a little bit about that last week. Like some people have, we did like a 2-hour episode about that, but
it seems like a lot of people don't like it. I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but
no. I mean, people have their own access to grind about it.
Yeah, not even Mark Hamill likes it.
That's not true. That's not true. He spent a lot of time doing damage control, saying he wishes he never spoke out loud. Yeah. What he said was when he first read it, he was like, "Whoa, I don't know what's going on here." And then when he actually saw the finished product, he was blown away.
Yeah. And you know how quickly they chopped up just that little piece of him saying, "I didn't like what I read."
Right,
and they just ran with it.
Luke.
Right, but that's him just saying that the writer like subverted his expectation. That's not a bad thing.
Right.
He just came into it like I was expecting to do something different.
Yeah.
And again. So Jason just says he had less problems with episode 8 after seeing it a second time. And I saw it 2 times.
I haven't seen it
one
once.
thing is, I don't think you should have to see a movie again, like to really get it. And that's and maybe that's the marketing trick. No, you got to see it 16 times in the theater if you want to like it.
No, sometimes
Star Wars heads
sometimes
are
you do.
really into it. So
but again,
that.
I do feel like people were predisposition to not like it, and it's a weird. There's a lot of weird stuff around it. Now, I will say this again: I had a lot of problems with the movie. Nothing that made me hate it, right? But to me, Episode 7 was a more coherent story.
Yeah,
Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens. Yes,
the continuity, as I said before, it would bother people, and another thing that would bother people is that for longtime Star Wars fans, they may feel some kind of way because it's not following that same, or rather, it's attempting to follow certain trends and traditions that we're used to in Star Wars, and it's also trying to get you acclimated
to these new people
to
so
move along.
You want the old Star Wars, watch the old episodes.
Exactly.
These are new people. They're young.
Things are changing. Exactly, and so that's going to make people get uncomfortable.
People want my old stuff. Buy
my old stuff. Yeah.
No, but you can't keep being like regurgitated and force fed the same thing again. You have to change it up. So these things have to happen.
Some people want it.
Now that said, though, I do think that
The Last Jedi was a good movie.
No, it was a good movie, but I'm not directing it, but I think some things could have been done differently,
Absolutely.
And some things were a little bit of a disservice. But
Hands down.
But again, in what he was trying to do, I get it. And I think it was a very good movie. It just wasn't good as Episode 7. And that's okay. It's okay to have that. It's when you start talking about, well, they're just pandering to Asians by putting Rose in there, and I don't know why you have a black stormtrooper, and Rey is a Mary Sue, and like all of that stuff is that's where it's like,
Get out of here.
That's where I tell you what Jon Bernthal told his fans.
Because this is a whole universe of people of all type of alien, different species from every type of place. So you can't have a black person, you can't have an Asian person, you can't have a whoever. When there's people from all over the universe that intermingle and all type of species, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. But you know,
but
opinions are like assholes.
I think that we should have Jon Bernthal address some of those Star Wars fans, but he addressed some of his potential fans because apparently the Punisher has quite a few fans from the alt-right. And he says that he has a message for those alt-right fans that support the gun-toting, revenge-driven comic book character.
What was the words that he used?
Fuck him!
With a capital F.
Yeah.
That's his words, and we purposely, sorry for the curse, but it needed
That's
to be
what
said.
he said. That's verbatim.
Right.
Fuck the alt-right. I approve of this message. Everybody sitting here approve of this message.
Right. And another thing that's interesting is that, you know, he is in that there's a lot of nuggets in that article, but, you know, he sort of talked about how he does believe in some common sense gun controls. Yeah. It's funny that the Punisher believes in that. Yeah. And also, just
as a comic book,
another interesting thing is that
just because I play Rambo don't mean I believe everybody should have guns.
He acknowledged that you know, a lot of people say he's hard to work with.
That he's difficult to work with,
but you know, it's not coming from a place where I need all the red M&Ms picked out of my M&M bowl.
Right, or his trailer has to be cleaned every minute of every hour.
Everything that he's doing on screen has to make sense. Yeah. And when you start to think about that, you know, I can't tell you I've seen Jon Bernthal do something that was just like whack. Right? You know, if
he's all in.
And again, when he says that, like everything you see Punisher doing on screen, it makes sense. And it's so crazy. They walked such a thin line with that show because we're talking about let's just be real here. Like, this is a white dude who is a vigilante who's taking justice into his own hands and just decides it's okay for him to kill people.
Yeah.
You know who else thought that?
It's all right if you're all white.
George Zimmerman, right? So again, but in this show, they've done it.
But see, the whole thing is, the people that Punisher kills deserve to die.
That's what I mean. Like they
deserve to die.
They sort of towed this very thin line, and they walked that tightrope very well. Right. And if you want to see how that cannot go well, just look to the movie coming out with Bruce Willis, Death Wish.
Yeah.
Which is, and we all remember the Charles Bronson stuff, which worked in the 80s, but now it just looks like it feels tone deaf. Like he's smiling about killing these people. I just think that this.
He's enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yippee-ki-yay, mother effer.
That's
a great
weird.
way to put it. It's tone
weird.
deaf, right?
But again, and it's the same concept. It's just done so much better, and that I think that is partly
let's not judge the movie till we see it.
To Jon Bernthal sort of saying these things need to make sense why he's doing it. Because even as Shane, when he was he was the villain there. You understood exactly where Shane was coming from.
Right.
So, and look, even in Baby Driver, what he was saying made sense.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
It worked. Yeah.
So everything he does, I respect him as an actor. And if that makes him difficult, so be it. Especially since I'm not on them sets.
Not dealing with it.
Exactly.
No, he just says that there needs to be some form of regulation and gun control. He's not saying take people's guns away. He's just saying that you got to have tighter laws. That's all.
So he doesn't like
we have to have that discussion.
And he doesn't like Kevin Spacey. Gotcha.
Yes.
Yes, he tells all of them to perform.
Speaking of Kevin Spacey, which is just totally don't have nothing to do with nothing, but how that movie they cut him out of, the dude that's taking his part is about to win awards for it.
How much of that is like Christopher Plummer's a performance, or is that just like we got to make a point out of this?
They might make a point. That's
make you forget Kevin Spacey was even in it.
Yeah.
Now that said, in the world of corporate conglomerate takeovers. Analysts have pegged it at there's a 40% chance that Apple, especially based on this new tax law where they got to bring home a lot of that money that they have overseas, and to use some of that money, or I don't know how much of that money, to buy Netflix. How do we feel about Apple buying Netflix?
I don't care, bro.
The rich keep getting richer.
I don't pay for Netflix. It comes free with my damn Apple phone. So, whatever.
I mean,
I got T-Mobile, bro.
There we go. Someone's paying for it, right?
Look.
But the rich keep getting richer, man. That's how it looks like.
I'm not going to say we was here. We were cheering the idea of the X-Men coming home to the MCU, but the idea that Disney is
with warranted skepticism, right?
Well, no. My point is,
as long as I ain't got to pay more for it, I don't care.
We were cheering one aspect of the deal.
You always have to pay for it, bro.
Right?
Yeah.
And understand there are
some form of fashion we got to pay for.
There are these indirect costs. But my point is, so just seeing that and seeing where there is this sort of proliferation of like corporate conglomerate powerhouses merging, and
that
again,
is the way it's always been since the beginning of time.
No. Like no company has ever been as big as Apple.
As Apple,
the size of these mergers are getting larger.
Thanks, Steve
and
Jobs.
larger.
Yes, they are.
And my point is,
you
cannot point to any monopoly that was good for the customer, right? Now, let me ask you a question. You know who has a monopoly? Con Edison. How good is their customer service? You know who else has a monopoly?
MTA.
The MTA. How good is their service?
F the MTA.
Because when you get
we
so
got it,
large,
you need it. F you.
Right.
That's how it works.
But and again, so if we're gonna say like we don't care, I guarantee you like it's
it
gonna
don't
affect
matter
us
if I
somehow.
care because I can't stop it. What I'm gonna do? Piss and moan about it. Whoever got the money make the rules. They gonna buy what they gonna buy, and you gonna pay for it because you need it. That's it. If you don't like it, then don't stop putting money in their pockets. We can't stop it.
I hear you, but that don't mean you just go along with it.
I've
you
always
gotta,
said,
at least
what am I supposed to do?
at the very least, you could say in the history books, we happen to be recording this. I don't know if you know. In the history books, you could say
you fought.
I protested against it at the very least.
No, you.
I gave it a dislike on the Facebook
yep,
post.
I disliked it. I did my civic duty by
you fought until you couldn't fight anymore,
about.
And that's what it's about. You don't just give in. And I tell you this, I've always said that.
Stop buying up shit and making more money.
If anyone could ever come
What's wrong
in
with you?
and compete with the MTA would clean up their act.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
since they have no competition,
right
they're just
away.
like, oh yeah, we keep raising the prices.
Look, after MTA.
And it's not that the cell phone companies have big competition because there's 4 and now that's going to move down to 3 and all that.
But they've been shaking hands for the longest.
They have, but my point is when T-Mobile said we're going unlimited, everybody had to go unlimited, right? These are the things that happen. People when you have competition, you have to meet that competition. So competition is good because it forces them to make better products.
Competition is great. You go to South Korea and you see how they operate with their mobile devices as well as their internet, and it blows whatever we have. The reason our internet is so crappy is by choice.
Right, and again, you have to understand.
By choice, they make sure, and they keep raising and telling us to. They keep raising and telling us to go. Oh, hey. Well, buy this one, buy this one, buy this one. Keep raising the prices, and you're still getting crappy internet.
And again, that's the thing. You know, we
and we're a first world country.
The reason you want to buy up your competition and you want to be like the reason you don't want to have competition is because you don't want them to make something better than you. That the customers will want more than you. So
they could put me out of business.
Larger,
so if I could buy them out, why wouldn't I do that?
But the reason you're worried about them.
You got to keep the foot on their neck.
The reason you're worried about them not making a better product is because you really don't want to put the effort into making a better product. Right? You know what's easier than making a better product? Just buying out the competition.
Exactly.
And that's why they want to get larger and larger.
If they got streaming music on lock, right? If they got streaming music on lock,
why? Though. Spotify is a very big competitor to them. And if Spotify didn't exist, they would still be selling you 99 cents.
But here's the whole
thing. And Apple is
getting
these exclusives over Spotify.
How many people
because
got
they keep paying
iPhones?
more money.
If Apple Music was already integrated on my iPhone, I'm most likely going to use Apple Music.
There's still more people using Spotify.
Word, I ain't never used Spotify because I don't need it because it's on my iPhone.
No.
Apple Music.
I mean, that's fine. But again, I'm saying competition is a good thing.
It's because Spotify came out first.
If you like Apple Music, it exists because of Spotify.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
But I'm just saying, why wouldn't Apple, they
breeds.
want to make more money. They're not just going to come out with a new streaming service because why would I do that when the Netflix already exists? What, are they gonna come out with a new video streaming service?
They want to. They're creating original content now, but it's easier if they can. I don't even know if Netflix is trying to sell, because Netflix is getting all the money right now.
Right. Well, right now, until Disney take all the content off.
But now that may be the other thing. Netflix might be like, look, if Disney has all of those IPs, maybe we won't be able to compete, but we'll have that Apple war chest.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe that's why they'll do it. I don't know. But that being said, that's something to keep our eyes on. 40% chance is not very high in terms of business. Like, when we heard about the Fox and Disney thing, everybody was like, yeah, it's going to happen.
Right.
Like, that was in the air. We heard about it a few weeks before, and it's like, yep, it's coming out. We're giving you that news the same week as Star Wars.
Right.
So that's the next thing. So what do we have next is...
WB.
Warner Brothers has chosen a new person to head up their DCEU. DC, whatever. The DC universe, whatever it is.
Whatever they want to call it.
They have a new man heading up they have a new Kevin Feige.
Okay.
Now, this man's name, you can see him on the screen now. It is Walter Hamada. Now,
who is he?
The interesting thing is Walter Hamada has been in the industry for a while, and like Kevin Feige, he started as a production assistant. He has had much experience producing movies, but a lot of what he has done has been in the world of horror. So this is the man that is behind producing films like It, and the whole Conjuring franchise.
Oh, okay.
Now, why do I bring that up? Why is that important? And why am I I don't want to say I'm happy about anything with DC, because like they could change everything tomorrow, but this has piqued my interest.
You don't like bricks?
And look, man, so you got to build a house.
Okay.
Now, the thing is this: the Conjuring universe, which includes the Conjuring 1 and 2 and Annabelle, the Annabelle and Annabelle creation, and now they have the Nun movie that's getting ready to come out. That is all in the same universe.
Right.
What interests me there is he has expressed very good acumen in creating sort of relatively low budget films in a connected universe that do very well at the box office. And the interesting thing about the Conjuring franchise, in the horror genre,
right.
The interesting thing about that genre is it sort of feels like a connected universe done right, in that the films are in the same world, but they don't hinder each other. They're not like trying to sell you the next film in this one.
Right.
You just know that it's in the same world because there may be one ghost that's haunting in this, and they may show up.
Or there may be a conversation amongst something that happened in another film, and you're like, oh, okay.
And again, they all know of each other. It's done very tastefully.
Right.
They might throw something in a not really post-credit scene, but like, we'll show you this at the end.
Exactly.
Just to let you know, hey, this is connected. But they're not like, we're going to build an Avengers of monsters. That's not what they're doing. So again, this guy has if you look at It and The Conjuring and Annabelle, this guy has generated over $1.6 billion off of $124 million.
Right.
That's almost a third of the Justice League budget.
That's called flipping that money.
Right? So let's understand. He spent $10 million on the last Annabelle movie. That made $300 million. They spent $35 million on It. Highest grossing horror movie of all time.
He's flipping
$700 million. And again, he's making these films are good.
Right.
Now, my only question is, I just hope that he knows how to make a film that is not
trash.
No. He's expressed all of those movies have come out and they're very good and they're enjoyable to audiences, right? So I just hope that everything isn't like super dark.
Right. Well, that is in the medium of the hero genre,
right. If
right?
he can sort of translate what he's been doing into the comic book realm.
He should have somebody who he can
essentially. James Wan is who he's worked with already,
right?
Because James Wan is behind The Conjuring and sort of produced Annabelle also. So
right,
and James Wan is doing Aquaman. So
which is coming out in December.
Yes, it's coming out at the end of this year. But I think we can look at Aquaman and see how that is to know whether it was a good move or not. Because Hamada and Wan have been a dream team in the world of horror.
Right.
So let's see what Aquaman is, but I'm excited about it because I think he knows how to connect the universe. I think he knows how to take the things that work in a certain genre and play to the audience. And again, I think we can see some R-rated superhero moves from him because
so
he's
the only
used to
movie
doing
DC
lower
got coming
budgets.
out is this year's Aquaman.
Aquaman, yes. Also, some news has just come out. This is not in our list of images, but apparently Wonder Woman is going to be something totally different, and it may not adhere to any of the canon so far.
You're talking about Wonder Woman 2?
Wonder Woman 2, yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's even like when we had spoke before that if you just give us, well, I'll speak for myself, but I think we're all in agreement that if you just give us something how Wonder Woman was initially, where there was this comment between Bruce and Diana, or at least she had the picture of some sort or something like that, and he was there for a small, brief picture, and then that was it. You don't hear anything about Batman. You don't hear anything about Superman, and then it's just her own film, and you're like, okay, they exist. They know of each other. And in that way, it works. You know what I mean? So if there's Aquaman or Superman, and he's talking to Lois, and it says in Gotham, another bank.
So what year is it supposed to take place? Is it going to take place in the 80s?
You'll feel good about that.
We don't know. Yeah. We don't know. I think they're
you know,
sort of changing course completely. All right, and moving on. This is just a little tidbit, and I want to give a shout out to, speaking of the DCEU, Gal Gadot was just awarded with the Rising Star Award.
It's Gadot. It's not Dot.
Okay.
The T is silent.
Gal Gadot.
I'm going to call her Gadot.
Yeah.
But she was awarded with she was given the Rising Star Award,
right?
And she decided to thank Zack Synder. Now, many people
don't
know
everybody
this,
throwing him under the bus.
Because here's the thing, Wonder Woman was sort of a cultural phenomenon of 2017,
right?
And a lot of people don't give sort of Zack Synder credit.
Doing it for themselves.
Is that he cast Gal Gadot. And also, he was partly on set, helping produce with Patty Jenkins, obviously,
right,
the Wonder Woman film, right? And the vision of Wonder Woman that we get in the film that comes from BVS and what Zack Synder saw in her, and she just said she was thinking of quitting acting because she wasn't getting callbacks.
Washed. All I got is this whack-ass cameo in the Fast and Furious movie where I died and fell off the damn plane.
Well, there's nothing about...
Vin Diesel's shirt still didn't get dirty.
She thought she was washed at the time.
Yeah.
She thought it was over.
And she was going to give up on... Because, she's a model. She was a working model. She didn't need acting.
I never thought she was going to be in anything ever again after that.
And now she's one of the biggest stars out there.
You just thought she was going to fall off the plane and then that was it?
Yeah, she fell off.
Literally. And that, like I said, like Yab said, that must hurt because Vin Diesel's shirt was still white while she falls off the plane.
It was definitely
Vin Diesel could
crispy.
jump out the plane and roll. She falls off the plane and she's dead.
He rolled out the car in Brazil.
Shirt all white.
In Brazil,
stains, just him.
Yeah,
no help.
And his shirt was clean.
So
we're not even talking about Fast and Furious.
No, we're not.
The ridiculousness of driving cars through buildings and shit.
No. But the point is, I just think it was very classy of her because she didn't have to, and everybody's throwing Zack Synder under the bus, and everybody's giving Patty Jenkins all the credits, and she deserves all that credit.
Some of it.
But let's be clear, he cast her because he saw something in her. And it's only right, you know what I mean? They want to throw him under the bus for everything.
Basically, they should have let him finish his damn vision, bro.
That's another argument altogether. And now it is time for the focal point. And in light of Jody Foster's comments that we talked about earlier, I just want to ask a few questions. What constitutes a real film? Is it, something like the artist that's all black and white and sort of, as you said, LeVar, artsy fartsy? Yeah. You know, is it Lady Bird? Is it The Shape of Water? Is it La La Land? You know, because
any film, anything that is recorded and has a script and has, you know, editors and whatever, and it's put out as a film. It's a film. Somebody shot it. They put some effort into it. They wrote a story, so that's a film. What do you mean a real film? Like a classy film?
Right. And no, but that's the thing.
There's B movies. There's levels to this shit.
This is the thing that I sort of wanted to focus on, which was, you know, people spend a lot of their lives investing their time, which is the most precious thing you have in this life.
Right.
Yeah.
They spend their time investing in these characters. They read about these characters their whole lives. They study them. And I'm sure that people could tell Jody Foster or whoever feels this way about these movies things that they never knew, stories that they never knew about. And you cannot tell me that films like Logan or like The Dark Knight or, you know, some would say Wonder Woman, but, you know, you can't.
That's very pandering.
You can't tell me that these things don't exist. Even Thor Ragnarok, just as a comedy. Yeah. Deadpool is like a love story. So, you know, don't.
Beyond anything, Thor is always about family and brothers and
also no, but what Thor said is what Ragnarok
and becoming
said,
a man.
Also, no,
and,
but
you know,
furthermore, it is saying that you cannot build a nation based off evil deeds, because that's what Odin did, right? And he tried to cover it up later. What does that remind you of? Yeah, right. And what about saying the only way to save something that is built on a corrupt foundation is to let it burn?
Right.
Right? That's you make any analogy you want to that, but right. I'm sure you can make some.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Think about a great nation that is all pretty and it's all great now, but it was built on the backs of servitude and murder. And then saying the only way to say what it is about is its people and right. the good people there, right. and you have to just maybe you got to let it be destroyed. And that's in a superhero film,
right?
You know what I mean? So don't give me that. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's a lot of deeper
meaning to a lot of
these movies.
Now
right.
again, I have a graphic up on the screen right now, which is it's showing some films like Spider-Man 3, Guardians, Amazing Spider-Man. Well, Spider-Man 3, and then Amazing Spider-Man 2, and then The Dark Knight Part 3, BVS,
Rises.
Iron Man 2, Suicide Squad.
A bunch of trash. All those movies are trash.
Look,
all of those are rock.
Now,
the third Batman doesn't belong. I mean, it's bad, but it doesn't belong.
It was rock
in
box, bro. Compared to the other two, rock box.
Again,
it wasn't.
I'm seeing Avengers 2 up here.
It wasn't.
I'm
that
seeing
bad.
Iron Man 3 up here. So
it wasn't that bad.
But the
Bane's
point.
voice. And just the fighting.
No. But my point is,
bad.
So I think
when
you look at like the films, like this is a very shit show up here.
Scenes, and then go watch
how stiff they were.
Yes,
I know.
It's just
look. We're not.
Go watch that Batman warehouse.
We're not relitigating that film.
Movie.
Right.
We're not relitigating any one of those films. What I'm saying is there are a crop of big $200 million movies that are still making a ton of money. So I think she's looking at these, but not. And again, that's problematic because there are bad films made all the time. I think that we see that superhero movies are doing well right now, so that's the easy thing to look at. But to say that those things are ruining people's film habits,
I mean,
and
James Gunn, I mean,
to an extent,
right
it is
because like when you make terrible movies, that's bad for the whole genre. Because then that makes some people they're all the same thing.
There are terrible musicals, and there are terrible horror movies, and there are terrible dramas.
it's bad for the genre when people make terrible movies, because to some people it's just like they can't tell the difference between a Marvel movie or whatever movie, so it's just all go together. So if they see a couple terrible ones, then they're gonna assume all of them are terrible. They're all trash. You understand?
And again,
that affects it has a ripple effect. So they want these movies to do good. They don't want DC to fail.
Right. That's fine.
They want to do better than them, but they don't want to
make
terrible movies.
There are a bunch of stinkers out there, and again, this is not new to comic book movies. It's just that comic book movies are in right now. My point is, this is real time that people have invested in. Their real, serious, thought-provoking stories being told in this medium. And is there a difference if something is based on a book, like an actual novel, versus something that is based on a comic book? Does that make one something more? Does that mean there's inherently more artistry just because it comes from a comic book?
Hey man, there's all types of art. Like I said earlier, art is subjective. You know, everybody isn't going to paint the same picture. There's abstract art. There's like Monet paintings. There's all different types of art.
Now,
so you can't say that anybody. There's comic books. There's graphic novels. There's like art is subjective, man. There's no right way to make your art.
Now,
I think there's
like movies that are made deliberately cheesy, like let's say Sharknado or Snakes on a Plane, and those movies are enjoyable because they're bad. You understand? Like people go to see them for that. So listen, art is subjective, bro.
Where it comes from is that there's a fear of oversaturation, right? And from her standpoint, and
now what does that mean when you say oversaturation?
Where this is again, let's
backpedal.
Time out. We are in an age where, as you said from the onset, that our time is the most important thing. And how the world operates and how the world moves, our time is getting strained and pulled in a lot of different directions. And so when the medium, if everything is always telling you, check out this big blockbuster, right? And everybody is following that formula and showing us the big budget movies. Some are spectacular, which we will never talk bad of or ill of. And then there are others which are crappy because people are just out there to make a buck. Right? And so you're going to get these movies which are really bad, but they have a big budget. It takes away your eyeballs it takes away your eyeballs or your time, your valuable time to invest in a movie that is more noir, which is more auteur in the sense of it doesn't have that big budget, but it's thought provoking. Or right, there was films that when you had your top 5, which we said it, we might have not saw it in the theaters, or we might have not caught it in this way or that way because our time was invested in other ways, or we only got this $20 or this $40 to spend on 2 movies, and we're going to spend it on the comic books that we like, right? So for her, or for any artist who's out there who says, hey, I'm not your superhero, but I'm putting out some dope work, and you're like, well, I could watch that, or I could watch people fall on their heads all day and enjoy that.
Now, here's the thing.
Your time is being strained, your dollar's being strained, and you can't spend it or multiple times.
Now, but
you know
again,
what I mean?
So I guess the point that I want to make, and this is what LeVar was alluding to, there were over 400 films released last year. You know how many more superhero movies? 8.
Exactly.
So when we say oversaturation, you can't how many musicals were made last year? How many dramas were made last year? Right? How many horror movies were made last year? It is just a genre,
8,
right? There weren't 8 horror movies last year?
Probably not.
There were at least 25 horror movies made last year.
Right, but were they all horror's not big budget?
My point is, and again, they weren't all comic book movies if there were 400 because there were only 8.
Right.
And if they weren't all musicals and they weren't all horror, what does that leave? That leaves comedies and dramas.
And that's just in the U.S.,
and there were hundreds of dramas made.
Right. Just in the U.S.
There's always drama.
So here's the whole.
So again, I'm not even counting what's coming, the streaming stuff that's coming out.
Right.
I'm saying in the theater there were over 400 films released. Only 8 of them were comic book movies.
Right.
Right. So the summertime has always been the season of the blockbuster, the big budget movie.
Right. It is what it is.
Now again, has there been soulless movies? That goes all the way back. There were a bunch of Star Wars clones. Right? you know, we can't just blame it on this thing now because that's the shiny thing to look at.
Right.
Now, if you want to say that summer blockbusters are hurting movies, then they've always been hurting movies. And again, to say that it's ruining viewing habits, you are looking at them in a vacuum.
Right.
In the sense that what's hurting viewing habits is people only have a certain amount of time, and guess what? They're putting out a lot of quality content on the streaming services. There are a lot of things happening. Like, the world is changing.
Our eyeballs can only be able to watch but so much.
Okay,
right?
Again,
and our time can be able to be distributed to but so many things. You know what I mean? And that's all it is. It's not in a sense of defending what Jody Foster is saying. And
there's no defense to what she's saying.
No, but there is an understanding somewhat to where she's coming from.
Yeah, she old and curmudgeon.
No, look, there have been low budget whack movies. Like, that's a fact.
In all genres.
In all genres.
Superheroes, it's in all genres.
So we can't, like, just blame them because Marvel happens to be making a lot of money right now in superhero movies, and it's just Marvel. Right?
Right.
So don't look for, like, a scapegoat when there's so many other factors. There's so many other things factoring into why people aren't going to the movies as much. And guess what? These big blockbuster movies are essentially keeping a lot of these theaters alive and keeping alive. Because listen, I don't care if there was never any big budget movies. There's not.
Yo, I'm not going to the movies to see The Help. Who is going to see that? Like, but like how she said, it's an amusement park. That's why people go to the movies. That's why they have 4D movie theaters. That's why they have, because people want to escape and get away.
Ridiculousness.
I'm not going to the movies to see these. I get it. I watch these movies. Like, I'll watch a Gerald's Game on Netflix, and that's great. There's mediums to see these movies. But for me to go to the movies, I want the spectacle.
Also,
I want that.
The other thing that I'm saying is, The Help was never going to make $1 billion. Yes. That's a fact. Right? And we cannot say that, like, films are not, like, look at and again, these are big budget movies, but there are auteur films, which is The Revenant, which won, like, Best Director. I'm not sure if it won Best Picture that year, but I know it won Best Actor for Leonardo DiCaprio and Best Picture. I think it won Best.
Here, look.
But one more thing. So La La Land made nearly $500 million. That's a musical.
Yeah, it was a trash movie.
Right? Now, and it almost won Best Picture.
Right.
So we cannot say that, like, good movies aren't, like, good movies are making money. Right? And the summer is going to be the season for the blockbuster. I'm sorry, the same way that December and November to December is the Oscar season.
Right.
Like, that hasn't changed. So don't understand that, yes, people don't have a lot of time these days. Yes, there are things stealing their attention, like YouTube, like scrolling through a Facebook feed, and like Netflix, that they can go and watch these things. That's why people aren't going to the movies. And they say, when I am going to go out, I'm going to go see one of those big things. And the studio will take the $2 billion it makes from Star Wars and throw that into the Queen of Katwe. You know what I mean?
Right.
So these are the things that happen. I just think it's sort of like, oh, that's the shiny thing, so I'm going to point at that. Jody Foster and anybody who thinks like that, if you're in the film industry, you know that these blockbuster films have always been around, and you know that these other movies can peek through. And I'm sorry, like, Netflix and Hulu and Amazon are literally throwing billions of dollars at people to make movies.
I hate this news crap, because it's just like, regardless of whatever, like we said earlier, these movies fund these other artsy-fartsy movies. You feel me? So you can't say these things.
As long as
your movies wouldn't even get made if they didn't make this money.
As long as the film viewer's palette is balanced, I think there's a part, or there's something to be said that if your palette of film viewing, and at the end of the day, and I have to correct myself even before I start to say this, it's your choice. But it's also what you're being socialized to watch, what you're being integrated to watch and keep consuming, right? And that's what society does and things like that. So as long as your palette is balanced, where you can enjoy your superhero films, as you just said, you was like, yo, I watched Gerald's Game. I watched this. That's not a superhero movie.
Yeah, I
you know
watch
what I mean?
it.
There's tons of movies that you
Netflix.
watch. You know what I mean?
You feel me?
There's a tons of movies that you
Good
watch that
Time,
are not
Molly's
that's
Game.
not superhero, right? And so
These
but
are
we
little small
have
movies.
we as a collective have a balanced palette, right? But you enjoy your action films, you enjoy your big budget films, as do I.
I
right?
will not go to the movies to see anything other than one
Is
of
that
these big
for
budget
everybody?
movies.
You know what I mean? And so if you're, and that's where that's the only thing that I can take away from her indefensible comments of, look, you know, in the long run, right, across the globe and across the world, if this is all we're showing, right, if we get 1 million of Will Smith in, you know, in another space, Will Smith in another, whatever about Will Smith. You know, he doesn't exist in this world anymore. He's reached another stratosphere. So, you know, Will Smith in another space movie, Will Smith as this, Will Smith as this, Will Smith as that. And you're just showing him in these big movies. You're like, yo, what about, what happens to the other stuff?
Although if they tell me Will
you know what I
Smith
mean?
is in the next Fast and the Furious, I'm all over that.
Yo, throughout the year, there's hundreds of movies that come out. Just because 5 or 6 superhero movies came out doesn't mean that there aren't all these other type of movies
so
for people,
many
for people
dope
to digest.
movies that came out this year.
And not to mention the fact that
but
the
does
Academy,
everybody know about
this doesn't
that?
stop. When they're talking about taste, it doesn't stop anybody from seeing these movies. If they're going to see them, they're going to see them. But most of these movies don't do numbers
it's the
anyway.
person's choice.
And it's just like, these movies ain't taken seriously by the Academy. It's just like they make money, but like nobody who like
Let's
is a real
see
film
if
connoisseur,
Logan,
they go to see it for the escapism and the enjoyment of it. But it's not, these movies don't win awards or even get nominated. Maybe for special effects, but not for nothing else.
Right.
So it's not stopping nobody's hustle. It's not stopping nobody from, you know, making their movies.
And that's
People
true.
will see
A lot
movie.
of the
If it's a
people-
good movie, people will go see it. And then during Oscar season, when people say, "Oh, these are the movies," then a lot of times people go see it after the fact.
And
Right,
again, the
that's a fair point.
Oscars, you are
That's a fair
100% right. The Oscars serves to advertise those films like The Post, like The Phantom Thread,
Right.
like Molly's Game, as you just
right.
said. And these are all dope movies that came out and got made this year. We could keep going with that list of amazing films. To kill the Killing of a Sacred Deer, Good Times. These are things we talked about last week.
Right.
But my point
Good
is,
times.
those films are getting made, and I'm sorry, it's not all the time that you're gonna have like the people that are coming out to make up the $1.2 billion that Civil War made, or the all the money in the world that Infinity War is gonna make. A lot of those people was never gonna go see Molly's Game.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's bringing more people.
They wasn't
in.
lining up to see a
Right?
Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Look, I love you, LeVar, but you wasn't gonna go see the Killing of a Sacred Deer. No. You know what I'm saying? So let's be clear about that. Don't look at the money they're making. They're bringing new people in, and you're talking about killing viewing habits.
Yeah,
Netflix
stop watching other people's
and
pockets.
Hulu done killed people's viewing habits a long time ago, and I'm sorry.
You know what killed people's viewing habits? The internet. Okay.
Right. And again, this is people clutching onto what they know.
Because right now, I don't give a shit what movie coming out. In 0 degree weather, I'm not going out there to see nothing.
Right.
Unless Black Panther
they got
came
the
out.
HD copy on the internet. Guess what I'm doing?
Okay, but what about when Black Panther come out
I'm out
next
there.
month? Okay.
I'm freezing.
Shut your mouth.
You said you freezing?
Hey, yo, I'm skinning a real panther and wearing it out there, bro. You crazy? I'm be warm.
So, but again,
F. Peter.
this just sounds like people
man.
who are used to a certain tradition, snubbing
very
their
true.
nose at a thing that they don't understand.
Right.
And I'm saying making a film with the source material as a comic book is just as valid as making it
From a novel.
best-selling
Like
novel.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because you're talking about the. Do you know how much studying it takes that goes into these movies to throw those Easter eggs? That means you thoroughly studied the source material,
lore.
and you're in touch
hundreds of episodes
with your fans the same way.
You know how much lack of studying goes into making Transformers The Last Night?
Look, or Justice League.
At the end of the day, at the end of the day, when you talk about all of this stuff,
oh my God.
all of these people are just playing pretend, and it's not that serious.
Right.
No, but
lighten up, folks. Right?
No, lighten up. In a way, though,
enjoy the movie.
In a way,
stop it.
Yeah.
In a way,
I
do think it's serious, and this is why like these comments hurt my feelings a little bit because look. A lot of this, there's a lot you don't know what's going on in people's lives, right? And the reason you go to the movies and the reason people make films is fine if you want to make them about you as the director, but you're making art to show to people. And the reason people go to movies is because it allows them to escape from the everyday monotony of their life. And I'm sorry, if a film makes you feel good inside, it makes you smile and can take you back to your childhood, that's why you make movies. That's why you go to the movies. And if that's what these superhero movies are doing and they're bringing people joy, don't fucking shit on that because it's not your little artsy-fartsy $10 million movies.
You sound like me.
What?
Sorry.
This guy, man.
This guy just devolved.
No, man, I don't like that. Like you're disrespecting why people go to movies in the first place.
Jeez,
sorry,
man.
All right. On that note, it's time to have a little fun.
Oh my god.
Let me. I have to fix my tie a little bit.
Emotional.
All right. Next,
the blazer, loosen up the tie.
We have.
I got the comic collection.
What do we have here?
The greatest directors.
All right, yes, we are gonna. This is the director's draft.
Time for
pick.
What Would You Do?
All right, what would you do? Yes. So on this week, we are going to. We're gonna have a director's draft pick. So we're gonna go around. There will be 5 rounds.
Dun, dun, dun.
And in each round, each of us will pick our highest rated director, and at the end of it, we'll see who has the best 5 directors, or we'll just tell you what our lists are. So. The only question is, how are we going to pick who goes first?
I'm going first.
Hold on, I want to see. Let's see if we can. I have an idea here.
Look at you, man. You on it. You know how you get down. I like this.
Hey.
I hope that's Luke. Damn. I was just hoping that was Luke. I was like, don't let that cut off. Don't let that cut off. That's good. I like that. That worked.
Okay, good. I have a random number generator from 1 to 10. Everybody's gonna pick a number.
Oh Lord.
Let me put this up on the screen.
It don't matter. I'll go last.
7.
Well, slow down. I didn't. We gonna press the button on screen.
You're killing me, Small.
Okay. Come on, bro. Now we're gonna pick a random number from 1 to 10, and then whoever gets that number sort of will go first. So everybody pick a number. I'm going to go with 4. What do we have?
3.
So we have 4. You have 3. What do you have, Mr. Woods?
It says 7, Negro.
7. You got 7. All right, so we're going to pick this number. All right. And let's generate this number. Let's go, generating the number, and 1.
I win.
That means you win.
Price is wrong, bitch.
Okay. All right. Let's
go ahead. Start it up.
Let's get to number 1.
All right.
Let's get to these directors. Number 1.
Let's just Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino. Boom.
Boom.
Yeah. You want to keep track of this thing?
Yeah, all right, I do.
You got LeVar at Quentin Tarantino.
Okay. Quentin Tarantino, self-explanatory, directed such great movies as Pulp Fiction, Django Unchained, Reservoir Dogs, Inglourious Bastards, Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. The list goes on.
Okay. Now I think that I go next because I'm the next closest thing to 1.
What number did you pick?
I picked 4.
Wait, what? Okay, yeah. So yeah, that works. Go ahead.
Now. I'm going to go with Steven Mother Effin Spielberg.
Okay.
Greatest director of all time, bar none. Don't let me name the hits. I don't want to name Jurassic Park and Indiana Jones and E.T. and The Color Purple.
After you just named all of them. Steve. Okay.
All right. Who do you pick?
For my guy?
Your guy. Who's your guy?
Who's my guy?
Let's go.
I'm going with Christopher Nolan.
Oh, you right out the bat, you go with Christopher Nolan.
Taking my guy. Yeah.
Okay.
Even though there's a lot of people ahead of him, but I'm just going with Christopher Nolan because I want him on my squad.
You want him on your squad?
Yes,
All
I do.
You wanted to take him out the running. Okay.
Take him out. That's it.
Okay.
Nobody can get him.
All right. Now, Mr. Johnson, what do you got?
Who's next up for you, Var?
Because nobody said him yet, Scorsese.
Bam!
Damn!
Scorsese, you got Goodfellas, Taxi Driver,
Yeah,
Departed,
yeah.
Raging Bull, Wolf of Wall Street, Casino, The Aviator, Gangs of New York. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, it keeps going. I know.
It just keeps
you gotta
going.
go
It's
with.
self-explanatory.
All right,
Okay.
go ahead, Steve.
All right.
Who you
All
got
right.
up? Wait.
All right.
Let me just.
Now, who am I gonna go with? I am gonna go with Stanley Kubrick.
Feeling like
Okay.
Stanley
2001.
Kubrick. This is a
Space
visionary
Odyssey.
shit.
Okay.
The-
okay.
The Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
The
That's a good
Shining.
one. A good one. Good one.
Okay.
All right, Mr.
I like
Woods.
that.
Who you going with now?
Spike Lee.
Shit! I was going to say it. God damn it. God
Okay.
damn it.
Okay. All right. All
Here we
right.
go.
Your turn. Your turn. What you got? Who you got? Mr. Johnson. Let's go.
Oh, man. Shit, that
Press
threw
is
me off.
on now.
I was going to pick him next.
It's on like Donkey Kong.
God damn you. My next one would be Oliver Stone.
Okay. Little political these days.
He's
Such
always
great
been
movies
political.
as
I'm just saying it's getting
such great movies
Extra
as
political,
Born
right?
on the 4th of July, Platoon, JFK,
Oliver
Snowden,
Stone.
Wall Street, Natural Born Killers,
Yes,
which
sir.
was written by Quentin Tarantino, by the way, but Oliver Stone directed it.
I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for that because
That little
that
bit
cleared the
typical.
way
Uh-oh.
for me for James Cameron.
I knew you was.
Avatar,
I knew you was gonna get him.
Alien,
I knew you was gonna get
Terminator,
him.
Titanic.
I knew you was gonna get him. All right.
Oh man,
By the way, that man has the #1 and #2 highest grossing films of all time.
Okay, so we got Stone, Cameron, Kubrick. Who do I have? Someone else who's on my list is I'm not gonna have. Y'all gonna have these guys because I'm not picking them, but it's all good. George Lucas.
Lucas, the creator of
Yeah.
the what?
Star Wars, but what else?
Star
has he done?
Wars.
That's
Star
it.
Wars.
That's all he has.
That's it.
But you know what? If he
The
never gave
second
Star
biggest
Wars,
franchise of all time.
in truth though, I know that's the only thing he has. But if he never created,
No,
Star
he doesn't
Wars,
have to. That's it. That is American folklore. That's. Hey,
Hey,
you got
listen.
that.
Okay.
Mr. Johnson, let's go. Let's go. Who's your number? What's this number 4 for you?
Number 4.
Yes, this is his fourth.
Let me go outside. I'm gonna say Tim Burton.
Oh, that is outside. Okay. I like that though.
Okay.
I like that.
Like, you know,
I do
Edward
like that.
Scissorhands, the original Batman.
I'm not
and,
even gonna front.
Batman Returns, Beetlejuice.
I'm not even gonna
Nightmare
front.
Before Christmas.
Okay.
That is
Okay.
out. That's.
You ready for
House,
this?
some good
You ready
ones.
for me to shut this whole thing down?
I like that one. Who?
Alfred Hitchcock, baby.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, Alfred Hitchcock. Okay, that's who you go.
Psycho. The Birds.
Okay, my next up is Ron Howard.
Oh, good.
Ron Howard.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Ron effing Howard.
He's directing that Han Solo movie that's about to be a brick, but you know.
Nah, Ron Howard is that dude.
Okay, this is your last one. You better make it good.
My last
Mr.
one.
Johnson, who you got there?
Jeez. Yeah, y'all took a lot of people off the board when I think about it.
Who am I gonna give my last one to? I'm gonna say.
Oh, y'all didn't get him? Come on. Uh-oh.
I gotta say a good one because I might protect Yabi's shit.
I'm like, oh, he's still there. I had a couple of people
Don't worry
that
about
like
it. I know who
legit.
you're gonna choose. And honestly, I'm gonna let you have it because this is like a passion thing that I'm gonna pick.
Go ahead. All right. Anyway, go ahead, LeVar.
This might lose the game for me, but you know what? I'm gonna do it.
Do I want to say that one? I'm gonna say F it. Clint Eastwood.
I had him on my list. Look, Gran Torino.
Gran Torino, Unforgiven, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Clint Eastwood, huh?
Fistful of Dollars. Come on, son.
Clint Eastwood.
Yeah,
Okay.
Clint Eastwood, bro.
Sully. American Sniper.
Clint Eastwood did Sully?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right, so this is my last one. Now, I'm conflicted here because I could just end your career real quick. But I feel like
so you have in mind who I'm
Yeah, but the problem is I said that I figured he would have been picked by now, so I had this and I'm like, you know what? My pick is gonna be gone, but I wanna go for this you know what? Forget it. The Wachowskis. I'm saying it. They made The Matrix
because
my favorite film of all time is The Matrix, and every time now they have not created anything on the level of The Matrix, but
Wachowski brother and sister.
No,
they're both trannies now.
Stop.
I'm sorry.
Don't say that.
They're both transgendered.
The Wachowskis, right?
Okay.
Yes.
They created, in my opinion, the most thought-provoking film. This is the thing that made me fall in love with filmmaking. This made me fall in love with storytelling, with paying attention to who a director was, paying attention to who a writer was.
I would say
this
that
is the
Matrix is the definitive movie of the new millennium. Like when we thought what was going to happen in the year 2000 is everything going to be whatever. I would say that's the movie.
It was a convergence
because it seemed like
everything.
possible.
That the world would and could be, and the amalgamation of kung fu, philosophy, everything's the internet.
I'm surprised he's still here.
And again, it's not just that. You know, these are guys that these are people that sort of have everything they do brings you some amazing world that you've never seen. Okay. Now, it hasn't always followed through like The Matrix. They're great at setup and creating new worlds, which is why I think that's what they should do. I think they should produce and sort of let people kind of get into the minutia of finishing those stories. But setting up worlds, there's nobody like them in the industry.
Yeah, but whatever that last movie they came out with was trash.
Which was what?
Whatever movie that nobody seemed to like.
Oh, yeah. But think about the setup for that. The setup was actually amazing. The execution was different. Your last one. And you're welcome. Go ahead and say Ridley Scott, man. Just do it.
I thought that was going to be your number one, bro.
No.
Honestly, because I told you that I was like Ridley Scott. I was just like...
Just go ahead and say it.
He knew it.
Say the damn name. Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott. There you go.
I was like,
the man who needs no explanation. And again,
Ridley Scott.
I figured
for y'all that need an explanation, that's the guy who directed Blade Runner, the movie that
the original Blade Runner, and also the original Alien, and also Prometheus, and also a host of other amazing films. This is a guy that's been putting in work since how long?
Yeah. I also don't like his comments when he's like, "Oh well, I can't get."
Yeah, he also brought you Exodus, and Alien
exactly,
Covenant,
exactly.
I can't get jiggy with that shit.
But you know, Ridley Scott is amazing.
I can't get this film produced because nobody knows this African name or whatever.
But I guess I had to go with the Wachowskis just because they made a world and a film that has affected so much of why we're even here today and why I even care about movies in the first place.
Right.
So that's the honor. They got it. That's my number 5. So you want to run that list back, Mr. Woods, so we can close this thing out?
Yes, sir. All right. So LeVar's 5 directors that's on his draft, that's on his team. That he's going to bat for.
What's his squad?
His squad is Quentin Tarantino.
Good shit.
Martin Scorsese.
Good shit again.
Whoa.
Oliver Stone.
Good shit again.
Oh, that's a strong list there, boy.
Tim Burton.
That's still good.
Whoa, no, these are bangers.
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood.
That's a great list, bro.
You comfortable with that?
I'm comfortable.
Oh, you should be very comfortable with that. I'm proud of you for your pick, sir.
All right.
Not as good as mine, but I'm proud of you.
Moving on to Mr. Steve Johnson. His list. His starting 5.
Let's go.
His squad.
5 best directors.
Steven Spielberg.
Greatest
I feel like I should say Steven mother effing Spielberg.
Hands down, it's not even the GOAT.
Steven Spielberg, man. Stanley Kubrick.
Come on, man. Visionary.
This is some visionary shit.
James Cameron.
James Cameron. This man makes a film every 10 years because he waits until the world is ready.
Until the world is ready
and
for him. The world is ready for him.
For his vision, because the world got to catch up with him, and then he tells the world
about
what
that
to
for
be
a
in
second.
love with
Think about
for the
that
next
for a
10
second.
years.
He waits for the world to catch up to him, not the other way around. Anyway.
This is the dude who made Titanic and was like, you know what? I'm going to go live under the ocean for like a year because I want to see what's down there.
Alfred Hitchcock. And the aforementioned Wachowskis.
Yep. Creators of the Matrix.
There you go.
Well...
I would say that. I would say that.
I like how you caught yourself.
Yo, I love the
I like
Matrix,
how you caught yourself.
But I would say adding the Wachowskis to your list makes it iffy.
Nah, man.
Because they don't have, as far as these other directors, their body of work as compared to the Wachowskis, they're on the shallow end of the
I'm just
pool.
saying that
that was a great thing. I'm not saying, but their body of work,
but
as opposed to these other people.
I'm also looking at more than that in the worlds that, like, these are dudes who create worlds.
They changed the whole genre, like.
But I mean,
the
even
way
take
out
the action scenes,
like they did a lot with that. But I'm just saying, in terms of body of work,
I'm saying,
but it was a good list. It's subjective.
Take out the Matrix, like they create worlds every time, and I'm saying they don't like. Other than the Matrix, I don't think that they have successfully really been able to follow through on those worlds that they set up. Yeah. But showing you a world that you haven't seen before, I think that they are some of the best in the business. But again, that was sort of a passion thing, so it is what it is.
I wouldn't say great. You can put that in your favorites, but when we're talking greatest, I wouldn't put them in there.
My point is, anytime they do a movie, I'm there. Yeah. Even if I don't expect it to be,
even though the last movie
but
was
they
rock
help
box,
you go to another level and look.
You went to go see it, even though you agreed it was trash.
Absolutely, it was trash.
All right,
so, Yabi.
And my 5.
But the world they set up was dope.
Yeah. And so, like I said, your list is good, but that makes it shaky. So yeah.
And
could have had Ridley Scott.
You could have. You should have. You should have.
If I wanted to win this thing.
Hey, but you didn't. And my 5 is Christopher Nolan.
Okay.
Spike Lee.
Okay. Woo! I was gonna put him on there, bro.
Joint.
George Lucas.
Okay.
Star Wars, baby.
Ron Howard. Ridley Scott.
Richard Cunningham.
Good shit, bro. Good shit.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. These are some good lists out there, man. We know what we're talking about.
I like these lists. Actually, I like all of them.
Not even whack.
Not even whack. I like LeVar's list.
You got a clean list.
And that Tim Burton one.
Yeah.
Because
nobody even thought Tim Burton.
No. I was looking at Tim Burton, but I was like, well.
But when you look at the disc or the catalog, man, the filmography,
right? Exactly.
Man, because like that creating worlds, like when you ever saw that was like Beetlejuice,
right?
What you ever saw that was like any like the whatever the all these movies he's done with.
He did Nightmare Before Christmas, right?
Yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas, or that the thing with Johnny Depp where he was the barber and cutting people's
Scissorhands. Yeah, Scissorhands.
Not that, not Edward Scissorhands. That Sweeney Todd.
Sweeney Todd. Okay.
That's the thing about Tim Burton. I feel like all of his movies they might just be in the same universe.
The same universe, yeah. It's Tim Burton's
universe. The aesthetic style. And again, that's why like with the Wachowskis, all of those things, like they did Speed Racer, and like the movie itself like wasn't like good,
but it was true
stylistically.
Stylistically,
that's my point.
It was
and
exactly.
Even if you think it's stupid, the show is stupid.
Hey man, it's true.
Yo man, don't come at Speed Racer like that, man.
I think
Monkey
the movie
in the trunk ass show.
Come on, man.
I think the movie was true to the source material. Stylistically, it was great.
Right. And by the way, Cloud Atlas is actually a great movie. Like at the time I saw it, like it I didn't really.
Wasn't
get
you
it.
saying what the hell is this?
No, I did at the time because there was so much going on. But like watching it again, it's like this is actually like a great piece of filmmaking.
Right.
I'm not a fan of Sense8 at all. People tell me I need to like pay attention to that on Netflix, but not my cup of tea. But like I said, they create dope worlds, and I hope that they keep doing it. And on that note, that has been another episode of On the Real. We thank you for tuning in this long.
Yes.
We hope you like our list of directors. And what's your favorite list of directors? Give us your top 5. Give us your
top 5 that are alive.
All that. And we will be back to you next week. I don't know what we're going to talk about yet because the news hasn't come in yet.
Same bad time, same. But never at the same time.
Never the same time.
It's never the same. We got
same channel. Always on Facebook.
And again, just go ahead if you like this show. Do us a favor, hit like and subscribe. It helps us out a lot. And we got a whole bunch of new things coming for you in 2018. Check out the second page, which is a show about politics if you're into that kind of thing. And we got some other things in the works, but Mom is is the word until we move some things along. So,
exactly.
Mr. Woods, tell them where they can find you, sir.
Why Woods, Why Not, or whywoodswhynot.com.
Hey, Mr. Johnson.
All right, at the particulars, but the dude abides with a Z and some periods in between.
And Marty McFly, if you don't want to get on Twitter, if you don't want to get answered.
Yeah, I don't have it on my phone, bro.
And I am your friendly neighborhood host, Steve Johnson, and you can find me at Steve A.M. Johnson on your favorite social media network.
And
as long as it's not Snapchat, nobody said it with me. I say this every day, but okay.
Right.
Thank you for coming. Hugs, not drugs.
All right.